Towards the end of my private pilot license, I sort of stumbled on this side hustle that I gradually figured out is a really great thing to do while you're going to flight school. You'll be making 30, 40, 50 bucks an hour depending on your experience level and the city that you live in. You would be so fucking surprised about the money that people will pay to do simple things just because either they don't know how and don't want to figure it out, or they just don't want to do it.
Oh, what a stroke of luck.
Alright, what's up everybody? It's been a while since I have done anything flight related. I guess besides a video that I did pertaining to Liberty University and that whole debacle. So if you're interested in that at all, if you're a veteran or just attending Liberty University Online's flight program, go ahead and check those out. But anyways, it's high time we get back on the flight train. I am back training again. Took a little bit of a hiatus, but now I have started an instrument program and it feels good to be back on the ball. Towards the end of my private pilot license, I sort of stumbled on this side hustle that is a really great thing to do while you're going to flight school. I first started doing it when a friend of mine who's a contractor just needed some help. I just started helping him here and there, and the few times that I helped him out, I guess this kind of like sprung an idea. So I started looking for handyman work. I think it's literally one of the best side hustles that you can do while you're in flight school. And there's a few reasons why I think that. One, first and foremost, is you make your own hours. Anytime that you want to work, you can work. And anytime you don't want to work, you just don't schedule something. You 100% control your own schedule. Going through flight school, working a job where you have a boss or where you have to be something at a certain time is difficult sometimes because you don't always know exactly when you're going to need to be there. Your flight instructor may alter the schedule on you the last minute, and you don't want to get behind, so you try to work with that. And I know this is especially true at some flight schools. My last flight school did not release the schedule until 5 p.m. the day prior. So you would have no idea whether you were flying or not or had any sort of training until 5 p.m. the day before. So with a schedule like that, it's almost impossible to know when you will not be flying. But if you're able to create your own hours for your side hustle, then you can easily just modify your schedule after you hear whether or not you're going to have a lesson that day. You can also, if you have a check ride coming up, it's super easy for you to just not schedule anything for the next 3 or 4 days to give you time to study up. Then after your check ride passes, you can fill the books and work for the next 3 or 4 days. It's all on you. You can create whatever schedule you want that fits with however flight school is for you at that time. The other huge thing is you're not getting paid a miserable wage. You're not going to work at this fucking minimum wage job where you're passing out food or working at a clothing store making minimum wage. When I first started on TaskRabbit, I was making anywhere from $25 to $30 an hour, depending on what kind of job it would be. As I got more experience, that gradually increased, and I was making anywhere from probably $30 to $40 an hour. You'd be pretty hard-pressed to find a part-time job that would pay you $30 to $40 an hour. Once you start getting experience, you can start taking on some more, say complicated jobs, say like changing out doors, filling in drywall holes. For those types of things, you can just charge as a whole project. For example, in Phoenix, remember every market is kind of different, but in Phoenix, for say if you have a medium-sized hole in some drywall, you can charge $125 to $150 to fix that. While a good drywaller could probably do that in 30 minutes to an hour. Say it takes you 2-3 hours, there you're making $50 an hour. Even if you aren't comfortable with getting into more complicated things such as drywall, even just putting furniture together can make you $25 to $30 an hour. You can set your own schedule, work when you want to. even $25 to $30 an hour, you'd still be hard-pressed to find a part-time job that will pay you $25 to $30 an hour. You don't have to have all these handyman skills or be this super handy person or have all these tools. To put furniture together, all you really need is some sockets, maybe a drill if you want it to go a little faster, a few screwdrivers, and that's about it. You don't need to be super experienced or super technical. Trust me, I pretty much started from ground zero. As long as you're a problem solver and willing to learn new things, which most pilots are, you can figure out most simple handyman things, and YouTube is always there as a backup. You would be so fucking surprised about the money that people will pay to do simple things just because either they don't know how and don't want to figure it out, or they just don't want to do it. Just the other day, I went over to a gentleman's house and put together some patio furniture. I stopped there right after my flight lesson. It took me an hour, and I left with $100. Any other part-time job, I would have had to work at least probably 5 hours to get that same paycheck. A few weeks ago, I got called to a house because some metal shelving in their garage was falling out. You know, the screws had come out of the wall. Well, whoever had put the metal shelving in didn't use any anchors when they put the shelving into the wall. So I got there, put some anchors in, screwed the metal shelving back into the wall, and that was it. It took me about 45 minutes. I helped them with a few other small problems around the house, and I charged $85, and I was probably there for maybe an hour. I really think you can make anywhere from $200 to $1,000 a week, depending on how much you work and what city you live in. You can easily make $200 to $300 just by working 2 to 3 times a week, again, depending on the city that you live in. Currently, I live in a city of about 150,000, and it's very feasible to make about $250 to $300 by working 3 to 4 jobs a week, with a total time commitment of probably 4 to 6 hours. So on the low end, that's $41 an hour. That's not bad for a part-time job. And lastly, the benefit of doing this as a side hustle opposed to getting some part-time job where you're passing out food or working at a clothing or grocery store is you're learning skills that you're going to use for the rest of your life. Handyman skills will always be in need. We're moving into this world where nobody, the trades are disappearing. Nobody wants to do their own housework, repairs. We're moving into a world that is more and more like that. So learning any sort of hands-on handyman skills is going to benefit you. They're going to be skills that you can use for the rest of your life, and I don't think that can be said about working at a grocery store or passing out fucking fast food to people. If you want to go and do that, great. More power to you, but I think there's just better things to do. And lastly, I think that there's a lot of transfer from working as a handyman to being a pilot. There is so much problem solving and critical thinking involved in being a handyman, whether it's learning how to put something together or troubleshooting a problem, or maybe you did something this way but that actually made it worse and now you gotta redo it and rethink the problem. You're learning how to problem solve and critically think, which is basically what being a pilot is 90% of the time. A lot of what being a good pilot is problem solving and critical thinking, especially when unknown or unplanned things come up. And I really do believe that being a handyman helps you become a better problem solver. If you're interested in getting started with this, I would recommend downloading TaskRabbit. That is how I got started. It's a great place to start, especially if you're coming from no experience. TaskRabbit is, essentially just how it sounds. People are outsourcing tasks to other people. 3 of the big ones are general home repairs, mountings, so any sort of mount on a wall, TV mount, picture frame, stuff like that. And one of the biggest one is IKEA furniture or putting together furniture. Now, it depends on what city that you live in, but you can make anywhere from $25 to $45, $50 an hour If you have a little bit more experience, another good app that you could download is called Thumbtack. Thumbtack is essentially an advertising platform for handymen, electricians, painters, movers, cleaners, so many different things. You basically advertise yourself on the platform, and then you pay the platform a small fee for any lead that you get if, say, a client would reach out to you. That has been my main means of finding jobs lately. I don't really use TaskRabbit anymore. I think Thumbtack is ultimately a better way to go, but again, if you are coming from little or no experience, TaskRabbit might be a better way to get started. So get out there, put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to go and put together somebody's furniture if you have little to no experience. I think you'll find it's a great way to make some good extra money while you're going through flight school. It's great to make your own hours and be your own boss. You don't need all the experience in the world. Trust me, I can't tell you the amount of times that I have used YouTube University. You just got to get out there and get started. And see you next time.